Lanchikov to the International Space Station upon its launch from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. The Progress31 craft is equipped with more than 2.5 tons of food, fuel, and supplies for the Expedition 18 crew, along with a cache of Japanese food for Koichi Wakata, the Japan Aerospace and Exploration Agency astronaut who will be launched on the next shuttle mission to the International Space Station in February to replace Sandy Magnus, who just arrived on the station and who today begins her 16th day in space and her 3rd week on board the orbital outpost. The Progress also equipped with holiday gifts that will be delivered to the Expedition 18 crew of Fink, Lanchikov, and Magnus. The Progress, and now you see in the field of view from cameras on the International Space Station, carrying over 1,800 pounds of propellant, 108 pounds of oxygen and air, 463 pounds of water, and almost 3,000 pounds of dry cargo in the form of maintenance hardware, resupply items, life support system spare parts, and other experiment equipment that will be employed by the Expedition 18 crew during the course of the remainder of its increment on board the orbital complex.
Do you have a very light image?
This Progress will be located at the Piers docking compartment for the next 3 months, scheduled to undock on February 9th, right before the launch of Discovery to the International Space Station on the STS-119 mission that targeted for February 12th to deliver the final set of solar arrays for the station, the S6 or starboard 6 truss that will be attached to the far right side of the station to complete the solar array outfitting for electrical production for upgraded systems, additional modules, and the remainder of the station's lifetime. A good view of the International Space Station with the Progress now just 750 meters away. The Progress was launched on Wednesday from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan at 6:38 a.m. Central Time, which was 6:38 p.m. Baikonur time. Just after reaching orbit, the solar arrays deployed on the Progress31 craft. Its navigation antennas also deployed except for one of the 2 short-range electronically scanning antennas that is associated with the core's automated docking system. The antenna did not immediately deploy. Within 3 hours after launch, however, telemetry indicated that it had deployed correctly. Flight controllers here in Houston and discussing that issue with their Russian counterparts at the Russian Mission Control Center surmise that the initial series of thruster firings and rendezvous maneuvers that were conducted by the Progress craft actually shook that antenna free of whatever was obstructing its initial deployment through computer command. And so all the antennas are deployed, and the core's automated rendezvous system is expected to work as advertised today. In the unlikely event it does not work, however, Flight engineer Yuri Lanchikov is standing by in the Zvezda service module, ready to take over manual control of the flying of the Progress through the Toru system, the backup system. Toru is the Cyrillic acronym for telerobotically operated rendezvous system in the Zvezda service module, basically a joystick on a control panel that Lanchikov would employ in case the course does not work today. However, all of the other maneuvers and the automated sequence of rendezvous burns to bring Progress to its current point, just 530 meters away from its docking to the International Space Station, have worked as advertised. The Progress normally traverses on a 2-day journey from the launch pad at Baikonur to the International Space Station. This time it was a 4-day journey for the Progress to allow Russian flight controllers to test new avionics upgrades, a new main computer, new accelerometers, a new telemetry downlink system, and new docking mechanism interfaces. All of those systems have checked out very well so far. In the newly upgraded Progress, all of these upgrades to be incorporated in future Progress vehicles as well as manned Soyuz vehicles that will be launched from Baikonur in the months and years ahead.
Yuri, could you please get ready all the tables for all
An excellent view
information
from the International Space Station, watching the Progress's inexorable approach for its docking to the Piers docking compartment. A new Russian vehicle to join the Soyuz TMA-13 at a docking port that is adjacent to the one that the Soyuz is currently locked onto. Once it is docked and hatches and hooks are closed, the leak checks will be performed by Fink, Lonchikov, and Magnus to the docking interface between the Progress and the Piers docking compartment before hatches are opened between the two vehicles. That's scheduled to take place at around 9:20 Central Time this morning, enabling the Expedition 18 crew to begin unloading the initial phase of the more than 2.5 tons of supplies, food, and other cargo that is carried on board this vehicle. The docking to the Piers docking compartment puts the Progress at the same module that doubles as an airlock for Russian-based spacewalks, the next one of which is coming up in just a few weeks, targeted for just before Christmas, when Mike Fink and Yuri Lonchikov will don Russian Orlan spacesuits and conduct a 6-hour spacewalk out of the Piers docking compartment to attach new equipment to the exterior of the Zvezda service module and to recover several packages of experiments from the outside of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. A firm date for that spacewalk is expected to be set in the next couple of days. The Progress shortly will begin a so-called fly-around of the International Space Station, placing it about 150 meters directly behind the docking port on the Piers docking compartment. There will be a period of station keeping of about 10 to 15 minutes in duration that is pre-programmed to enable Russian flight controllers to get a fix on the precise alignment of the docking probe on the forward end of the Progress with the Piers docking compartment. Again, this Progress will remain at Piers until February 9th, when it will be undocked and jettisoned, basically, to burn up in the Earth's atmosphere, freeing up that port for the launch of yet another Progress vehicle that will arrive at Piers later on. And it will also precede the arrival of the shuttle Discovery on the STS-119 mission on the next shuttle assembly flight to the International Space Station. There is yet another Progress vehicle that remains in orbit today, that being the Progress-30 craft that was undocked from the International Space Station back on November 14th, just hours before the shuttle Endeavour lifted off from the Kennedy Space Center on the just concluded joint mission of the STS-126 crew to the outpost. That Progress has remained in a parking orbit basically well away from the International Space Station to allow Russian flight controllers and engineers to conduct some scientific tests on some of its equipment. The Progress-30 is scheduled to be deorbited on December 7th. You can see in the upper left-hand quadrant of this cross-aired view from the engineering camera on the outside of the Progress, you can see the Soyuz TMA-13 and its solar arrays docked to the Zarya module's earthward-facing port. The docking port for the Progress-31 craft is just to the right, drifting into the field of view in that upper left-hand quadrant. That is the Piers docking compartment, and right at the top of your picture is the